Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jeffrey Cooperstein, and on today's show, we're talking about Luka Doncic making history, and we're talking about the Mavericks' 2-game win streak. Before we get into the bulk of today's show, be sure to subscribe for all the latest Mavericks news and rumors. We're covering Jason Kidd, we're covering Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, everything surrounding the Dallas Mavericks. Be sure to stay locked in, hit that sub button, hit that thumbs up icon as well to show us that you appreciate the show. All right, let's get into it. Mavs beat the Pistons, and Luka Doncic makes history, becoming the first player in NBA history to record 6 consecutive triple-doubles with scoring at least 30 points. The guy's been outstanding. I mean, we all know, or I think at least, he's the 2023-2024 NBA MVP. Just given what he's done for this team, I don't think the Mavs would be anywhere near a playoff spot without Luka Doncic right now, plain and simple. He is playing the best basketball of his career. He even said as such after the game against Detroit, where he thinks this is his best season so far individually, but he's not worried about that. He wants the Mavs to win, and they did the other night. They took care of business against the Pistons. Again, they scored 142 points in regulation. And I'll say they gave up 124, but I didn't think the defensive effort was bad at all. I think a lot of those points came when the game was already in hand. So that I wasn't really concerned about that, but a good effort from the Mavericks against the Pistons, obviously. Luka finished with 39, 10, and 10. Now, they did leave him in there a little too long. It was presumably to try to get that last rebound to get the triple-double. And then once he got that, they called timeout immediately, and he went out of the game. Started hugging assistant coaches and whatnot. So 6 straight triple-doubles for Luka. He's going to go for number 7 tomorrow against the Chicago Bulls, which, will be a somewhat difficult feat. The Bulls are playing decent basketball right now. They should have beat the Clippers the other night, but the Clippers hung around and ended up beating them. So it'll be another tough test for the Mavericks. But Luka is the story of the NBA right now. 6 consecutive triple-doubles. Kyrie Irving last night, 21 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 9 of 18 from the field. Felt like he was a lot more efficient than 9 of 18, even though that's still pretty good. 50% is always what you want to hover around. Kyrie is the straw that stirs the drink, man. We obviously know what we're going to get with Luka. When Kyrie's on the court, the Mavericks aren't going to lose very often, and I really like when Luka and Kyrie... I like how Jason Kidd and Luka and Kyrie stagger minutes, so they play basically 48 minutes, where if Luka's not on the court, Kyrie is. If Kyrie's not, Luka's pretty much on the court. So they're all going to be on the court at all times, which means basically you have a top 25 player in the NBA on the court at all times, and that's a really good thing that the Mavericks have there as well. Another guy I wanted to talk about was Tim Hardaway Jr. Thought he had a really nice game there against Detroit. Obviously, you're playing Detroit. They're probably the second worst team in the league, which is crazy because the Washington Wizards are low-key awful, and they are the worst team in the league right now, I think. But anywho, you have Tim Hardaway Jr., who's had 17 points, 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, couple of and one opportunities. He was just 1 of 4 from the free throw line, which I thought was somewhat alarming, but I think he did a really good job last night, and hopefully he can create some momentum because I think the Mavs are going to need Tim Hardaway Jr. Down the stretch, and they're going to need whatever they can get from him because they're still trying to find out who their third scorer is, and I think Tim could be that guy, but it remains to be seen here. Hopefully his good game against Detroit is a sign of further things to come. Daniel Gafford was excellent in Derek Lively's absence, who was out for personal reasons. Lively did rejoin the team back in Chicago, so he should be ready to play on Monday. Nothing confirmed on that yet. But 17-7 for Gafford, and he set the Mavericks franchise record with 19 straight consecutive field goals made. The guy's been awesome for the Mavericks lately, and I think Jason Kidd is showing more and more trust in him as time goes on, and Gafford will be the guy that is going to be your starting center for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. And then another guy who's really helping the Mavs, it didn't really show up on the stat sheet, but Dante Exum. Look, he's an important player for this Mavericks team, especially what he gives you on the defensive end and what he gives you from in the ball handling and playmaking category. Another 5 assists last night. Played less than 20 minutes still, but I think Exum is a guy that the Mavericks are really going to need down the stretch if they're to make some hay here. We saw early in the season how good Exum can be, and I think in his return so far, we've seen what he can bring this team right now. So I wanted to gauge it, get how you're feeling, get the pulse of the Mavericks fan base. How are you feeling right now? 10 being you think this team's going to win the NBA title. 1 being you think they're going to miss the playoffs, completely miss the plan, and blow it all up. Let me know 1 to 10 down in the comments for today's pinned comment what you think about the Mavericks status right now. And when you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go down and get your votes in. What do you think about the Mavericks? I think the big difference right now has been on the defensive end. After the first quarter against the Heat, where they gave up an asinine. The Heat were shooting like 80% from the field. Mavericks played really good defense for 3 quarters in that game against the Heat. And, they struggled a little in the first half against the Detroit Pistons, but in that third quarter, when the Mavericks really began to pull away, they held Detroit to just 23 points. That's what you're going to need on a night-to-night basis if you're going to win a game. If you're the Dallas Mavericks, you're going to need consecutive stops, and you're going to have to follow them up with scores. And that's how you win an NBA game. I know it sounds super simple, but the Mavericks are really just going to need to hone in on the defensive end if they're going to play at the upper echelon of the Western Conference. And it starts with Luka Doncic as well, who I think has had a really good year on the defensive end, but he has struggled lately. Hopefully he can get back to what he was early in the season, which I believe was a top 15 defender in this league. Like, if there was an all-NBA third-team defense, I think Luka would be on it. I don't think he's going to make all-NBA second-team defense, but if there's a third team, I think he would be on it. The Mavericks really just need him to play as well on the defensive end as he is on the offensive end, which would be the best player in the NBA. Your next 5 games, I don't know what to think of this stretch. It's difficult at times. It's easy, so to say, at times. You have the Bulls tomorrow night in Chicago before you come home to face the Golden State Warriors. That's a national TV game. Then you have the Oklahoma City Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back in OKC. You got to find a way to beat, I think, one of Denver or Oklahoma City. Try to split those games, because that would really show that you are in the upper echelon of the Western Conference, right? That would show that you're ready to play against these teams who perceive themselves as NBA title contenders. I think the Mavericks can be NBA title contenders in the playoffs, but it remains to be seen. I think it starts by trying to beat one of those guys. And then you have to go to San Antonio and play Victor Wembanyama. While the Spurs aren't a very good team right now, Wembanyama is incredible, man. Just go look at some of the stats he's putting up. He'll put up 27 points. It'll be 10 rebounds. It'll be 5 blocks. He's leading the league in blocks already, and he for my money, should win Defensive Player of the Year, but I'm not sure he will. This guy is an absolute freak of nature, and of course the Mavericks have to go from facing Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Kawhi Leonard to facing freaking Victor Wembanyama. No shock here. I think you need to go 3-2 in this stretch, honestly, if you're the Mavericks, to really establish yourself and hopefully get back into winning ways for the most part, because after that 5-6 stretch, you've won 2 in a row. You have a chance to make it 4 here, I think, with the Bulls and the Warriors before you face the Thunder on that second night of the back-to-back. So you're in 8th right now. If you can finish this stretch 3-2, hopefully stack some more wins, I think you can find yourself fighting for that 6th seed and hopefully avoid the play-in here if you're the Mavs. Where do you guys think the Mavs will finish in the Western Conference standings? If I had to predict it right now, I would say 7th, and I think they'll be in a play-in spot. But let me know what you guys think, where the Mavs will finish in the Western Conference standings. I do think they can get all the way up to 5th. I don't see a home court advantage in the first round scenario where they can get 4th, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm curious what you guys have to say. That'll be it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Jeffrey Cooperstein. Be sure to subscribe, stay locked in. We have all the latest Mavericks coverage here for you. And if you liked what you saw, again, hit that thumbs up icon so we know that you're a real one.